Welcome back to another Addy and Friends. I think this is Addy and Friends number 6 now. Again, guys, I am getting your emails. Keep them coming in, though. We are going to get as many people on this as possible. I am doing it twice a week. It might go to 3 times a week, so there's going to be more chances for you guys to come on. So make sure those emails do keep coming. I want to say a big thank you to the people that we have now for this show. We've got Marley, we've got Shane, and we've got Stephen. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show. We're going to kick this one straight off. No time wasting here today. Glovegate, that's what I'm calling it anyway, Glovegate. You guys have seen a lot of the videos recently, a lot of the articles, mainly from Deontay Wilder fans and now Deontay Wilder's brother, almost insinuating that Tyson Fury, not only cheated, you guys would have remembered that they said he was punching with this part of his glove before and the glove was a bit wobbly. Now they're saying that the gloves might have been loaded, which is, I think is big to say that, right? I mean, I sit on that green chair, you guys know, and I chat a lot of shit. I say what I want to say. Even I wouldn't say that. Marley, I'm going to start with you. What do you make of this? Do you think this is just another bunch of excuses? We've had so many excuses since Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. Do you think this is just an excuse? Or, like some people, do you think there's something in this?
To be honest, I think it's another excuse. I'm not... When it comes to Wilder and this situation, I'm confused as to how he would have got that in there with like JD's being in the room with him and having all the footage. I mean, it seems like a massive kind of conspiracy theory. I think he's just making an excuse, and I fear that his team is ruining his legacy by doing this. He's ruining what he presents himself as this bad guy that smashes people out. To complain about like heavy costumes and glove tampering with no real basis and have everyone say that just feels like more and more excuses. And it's the one thing that, you know, he'd criticize Joshua for. So I kind of see it as kind of completely fraudulent. I think they know it is. And I understand they've got a safe face and they've got to do this, but they're not the best communicators of what's going on. Yeah. And in doing so, I think they've really damaged the way he's going to be seen as a fighter. And I mean, David Haye got criticized for years for the toe. This is much worse. Exactly. David Haye's taken to this point for you to even kind of forget about it. But now, like, if you remember, everyone remembers the situation. I was caught up in the hype. I was caught up in this. And if he just admitted that he just lost to the better man with his team as well as himself saying it publicly, then maybe he's okay. But like with Wilder's career, I wonder who's advising him.
Shane, this is boxing, though. I mean, we've seen incidents in boxing before. Nothing surprises me in the sport. You remember years ago, there was a Margarita situation with loaded gloves against Miguel Cotto. There were people from Miguel Cotto's team in Margarita's change room when that happened. They signed the gloves off. Margarita was still able to get something in his gloves right, and we all know what happened after. Again, happened with Shane Mosley, but Shane Mosley's team caught him. So, look, there is basis there. Where are you on this? Do you think it's a complete BS, or do you think there might be something there? I'm getting emails from people now saying, Addy, look at the gloves, though. The gloves were floppy. Have a look. I mean, you can see it in the photo. What do you think?
So, firstly, I think it's BS, as you mentioned, this round. I think it's more of a marketing campaign to get the hype for the next fight, because we both know that Tyson Fury beat Wilder. No question about it. So basically it's a marketing campaign for the third fight. That's what I think anyway. And I think it's just excuses upon excuses. I mean, sick and tired of them now. I mean, Wilder got beat fair and square. So yeah, I'll probably look at it as a marketing campaign. But I've seen pictures as well. But I think there was a picture on Twitter with Spilker as well, the gloves. They were similar to what Tyson Fury's picture was. So there's nothing to it, I think, personally. So yeah.
Steve, why would he like do this as a marketing campaign when he's already got the third fight? It's done, right? Normally what happens is when someone loses like the way he lost and they do all this talk, it's almost to kind of beg for a third fight. It's almost like to get the crowd and everyone behind him like, okay, no, we've got to run it again. The third fight signed, it's legally binding. So why do this? And to be fair, it's not Deontay Wilder doing this. It is his fans, it is his brother. But why push this if there is no real agenda when the third fight is signed and we are going to see a third fight?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of baffles me, to be honest with you, because when I saw Deontay Wilder, I think it was on Instagram, of what he said, to be honest with you, it didn't really match up. It didn't really match up for me. So he apparently the doctors, they did their, as a call autopsy or whatever it is after to see
That's what his brother called it.
what happened. And he said that he had dents in the back of his head and things like that. Number one, if that was the case, that should have been done I guess a couple of weeks after. Things should be showing then. I don't know why that has to happen now. And second of all, I mean, at the end of the day, I just don't see why people are coming out and making like excuses on that part. Again, like you said, the third fight has already been there. It's just a marketing scheme where they're trying to, I guess, protect Deontay Wilder. They're trying to protect him. I mean, okay, there's images of of his hands going like that. Deontay Wilder came out and he said, I mean, he lost fair and square in my opinion. Tyson Fury had the better tactics. Deontay Wilder, if you watch back on the fight, he did not know how to approach this. He obviously didn't take it as seriously. He thought I was going to be the same as the first fight. So the tactics were in place there. But Deontay Wilder can't get over the fact that he lost. He's got such a big ego. He can't get over the fact that he lost. It's just for him, it's like, oh my gosh. And he almost has to say this to come out to protect himself. But in terms of just the excuses coming through, I've seen videos. There's a dude who's got a channel and was making all sorts of claims about, like Fury put things in his drink and his
unbelievable.
Team would do
Yes.
so,
Oh yeah.
And I mean, for me, I mean, it's just just be honest.
Tyson Cosby.
And Wilder just got found out. He got found out. Wilder's not the most elite of boxers, to be honest with you. He can use his jab a lot better, I feel. Actually, he uses his jab quite well, but I just feel there's other things like footwork and stuff he can work on. But Wilder, for me, just wasn't better than Fury. And Fury was the one who adapted. Usually in rematches, you see people change. That's how people win rematches. They adapt, they change. Wilder had nothing there to adapt, so therefore he didn't really do anything well. But just the excuses that come on for me personally, like you said, we never know what's going on. We don't in the Cotto fight, and Cotto got kind of hammered with those stones. He has, the other fighter had stones in his hand. We never know. I don't think Fury would do something like that personally. I think Fury doesn't believe in all these things. We would never know. But for me personally, I just feel there's things to help Wilder to just kind of protect him for this third fight. And just his brother talking about how he had bumps, and the doctor apparently said this has come from something a bit more sharper or heavier. Someone, I think I was watching Fight Hype, and then the guy basically said usually if somebody gets a dent or something like that, the person's hand or whatever it was will need to be broken first in order for to break a skull or to do heavily damage to a skull. So for me, he said the doctor said it. I don't know how true that is, but personally, if this was the case, why wasn't this said maybe a week or two after the fight? Why all of a sudden has this come out kind of now? So
yeah, for me,
it's a bit. It doesn't really add up for me in that regard. But I personally just feel that Fury won fair and square. Again, we will never know because things do go unseen when they're wrapping the gloves. Just like Ade said. But at the same time, I just feel that why my issue is why is it coming out now? Like why now? How long? When was the fight, in February or so? Why is it coming out now? I don't really understand. And I just feel that they're trying to probably protect him just that bit more, as well as he said in the fight. Oh, he talked about the costume and then his legs being quite it just wasn't working out for him. But I just feel that because Wilder is such an outspoken person, he finds it so hard to make to say, okay, look, I just lost fair and square. At the time, it's very hard to say that. Let's look at examples like David Haye against Tony Bellew. He was really struggling after that to kind of he did admit, but David Haye against obviously Klitschko. That toe excuse, just like Marley mentioned. I mean, honestly, I remember watching that. That was a day when I lost all respect for David Haye because he lost fair and square, but he just didn't know how to take it. So he had to say something. And these things in boxing happen. And I just feel honestly like these are just excuses to protect Wilder. And Wilder just needs to come in the third fight and just try and show Fury something different. Or else, again, that respect, even though it's kind of lost for most people in terms of his boxing ability, will just be totally lost forever.
Okay. Marley, WBC, Mauricio Solomon has come out and said something. He was on Sky Sports. He mentioned it. Tyson Fury's come out and made a little Instagram video sort of talking about it as well. Did they need to? Why have they done this? Did you felt like they were under pressure to say something?
Mauricio Solomon wants to protect the champion that he's got. So, for example, he had Wilder for a number of years, and although, like, you know, WBC have got the history of being the proper heavyweight champion, the main guy, the green gold belt, everyone dreams of that.
Yeah.
Now, they had that in the hands of Wilder. Now, he was a solid champion, but wasn't doing all the things, like, he wasn't traveling the world trying to do different sort of things, kind of promoting the WBC strap. He didn't really fight anyone of any notice until really Luis Ortiz, if we're being honest with ourselves, in which that's when, like, I remember when I saw that fight, I was like, okay, Wilder's for real. So I think he's saying that to protect his champion. I think Fury is saying it because I think that's just the sort of character he is. I don't think he cannot address it. I think the reason a lot of people fell in love with Tyson Fury is because he's this outspoken, out there guy that backs it up, and he's completely arrogant and can be quite erratic. To have him kind of become the strong, silent type, you know, for example, maybe it's something that, like, maybe there's something like maybe Joshua would have approached it maybe differently if that happened to him, which is, if that's who he is, that's who he is. That's fine. But because Fury is this character, I think we want to hear that. And it was kind of a funny video, and it's going to build up more hype for the fight. He says, I'm going to end your career. You know, it's only going to end up, especially with the third fight, it's like Wilder's trying to get revenge. And like most people think that it's going to be the same outcome. But these little things might build a story that they can sell to, like Shane mentioned earlier, to market it, which would be actually quite intelligent, actually, in hindsight. But I think he didn't have to address it, but he did, and I kind of wanted him to. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I would want him maybe to sometimes shut up, but I don't think not in this case, because it's challenging his honor as a fighter, and as a fighting man, as a gypsy warrior that I think we know he is. He's going to address it.
I will say this in respect to Deontay Wilder. Obviously, he's made the excuse about the suit wearing his legs down. I think Stephen mentioned that. But regards to the sort of the allegations about bumps on the head, it's more from Wilder's brother and Wilder's fans. A couple of those channels have said stuff. Although I do feel that they are mouthpieces for Wilder, I don't think we've heard Deontay Wilder come out and say anything himself about maybe Tyson Fury having anything in his glove. I think it is the people around him. But I do feel like Wilder might be feeding them with this information, if that makes any sense. Jarrell Miller, let's move on from this. Let's go to another outspoken American. Jarrell Miller failed a drug test recently for his upcoming fight against Jerry Forrest. This was the first fight back since the last fight, which got cancelled for him against AJ. What do you guys make of this? Shane, do you care? I feel like I done a video saying the response from boxing fans was almost like no one's shocked anymore. It's just like, if someone fails, they fell. Where are you on this? Did you care? Was it a surprise? Were you shocked?
I wasn't surprised, but I do care as a boxing fan in terms of how other people and not boxing fans look at the sport itself. Okay. So if they look at it in that way, they look at drug chase. Oh, it's normal. But for us boxing fans, we know that Miller was going to text PEDs anyway. So I do care in that aspect. But I just think Miller is you have to be stupid to take it twice. I mean, I think he's failed 4 drug tests in a year.
Yeah, I think it's 4 drug tests in total that he's failed. Yeah,
that is failed.
Well, I mean, 5 now. 5 apologies. Yeah.
Is it 5 now?
Yeah, wow. It's the one back in the day for a kickboxing. He failed. Although he's saying he didn't fail, which
and then 3.
3 this, and then this one. Yeah, so 5.
This one, I mean,
he has previous.
Yeah, so I mean, I think
more juice than Tropicana.
Of course, I don't think he will be banned for life though. I think because he wasn't banned for the previous one last year against Joshua. He actually hasn't been banned for any PEDs, as I'm aware. So basically, there's no legal ground to say you can ban him for life. I think you might get maybe a lengthy ban, maybe 3 years. But yeah, I mean, it's horrible to see someone cheating in the sport of boxing because, as I said, I think I've been watching videos. You can't actually kill someone in boxing. Is that a crime then if that actually happens? Because knowingly he took PEDs, basically to help him. But yeah, I think it's wrong in that sense, but was expected from him.
Stephen, what about you? Expected? Are you shocked? I mean, again, this is the guy that failed and missed out on a multi-million-dollar fight against AJ. Is it a case of like what Eddie Hearn said, that he has psychological issues and this guy just needs to take drugs because it's something he's always been taking for, let's be honest, probably taking it all his career. So to ask someone to come off something that's made him feel like Superman, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he it's something where I wasn't super. I was when your reaction to it when I was watching on your previous video, I was very shocked. Especially, I was also shocked when I first heard it. But then when I look back, I was kind of thinking, I'm not entirely shocked because of obviously he's done it before and he was tested for 4 kind of very powerful drugs, which were, you know, they were unheard of. So clearly he went into wanting to go into the AJ fight. I'm assuming when someone's trying to take drugs like that, they're very, how can I put it? There's a reason why they're taking it. Maybe he wasn't as confident to fight AJ or whatever it was. But personally, I mean, I was a bit of both. I was a bit shocked and I wasn't. Now, Jarrell, with Miller, the thing about Miller is that, or what can I say? The board who gave him a suspension in the beginning, going forward, I think that they're not exactly going to. It might not be as harsh going forward with the ban because they didn't do anything big in the first place, in my opinion. But going forward, I feel that a lifetime ban for me. I mean, it would be great if a lifetime ban could go on, because then I think most boxers who are doing it will not ever do it again, obviously. But that probably might be a bit too extreme in some cases. Going forward with maybe a 2 to 3 year ban, I think will be really good as well, because then most boxers will look at that and probably think, look, you know, I'm not even going to try on off season to try and take maybe any drugs. And let's be real, majority of boxers now, let's be honest, if Jarrell Miller has been caught doing this, I mean, majority of boxers, to be honest with you, are probably doing it as well. Let's be real. It's just that maybe things have gone behind the radar, or maybe they know how to work it well enough. And this happens.
So one second, Steve. So do you believe that the majority of top boxers are juicing, are taking performance enhancing drugs?
I personally believe that it's not all boxers. I don't think all boxers, but I feel that there are more. Because if Jarrell Miller if he's come out okay and he's been caught, I just feel that there are probably, maybe there's a bit more going on out there. Because I mean, the testing, I mean, how they do the testing and that, obviously the procedures to do it probably are quite good. But I do believe in terms of top boxers, possibly, I mean, at the end of the day, we will never know.
Give me a figure, percentage. What do you think? 80, 90,
This
70, 60?
Good.
What do you think, percentage-wise?
Me personally, I would say something between, I'll say something between, say, 60 to 70%, in my opinion.
One second. Hold on a second. Shane, what do you think, percentage-wise?
I'll probably say 80% myself.
80.
But I think, do we need to look at the teams as well? So, for example, I think...
No, I just want to get a figure quickly. We're going to come to you. Hold on to that. Marley, figure.
I would say I'd say about 40. I'd be
40,
a bit more
okay, so
conservative.
80, 40, 60. Okay, cool. Go on. Sorry, Stephen, go on.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it does happen and things like that. But with going forward, we have to look at, you know, like, okay, so this is happening all the time, you know, and obviously like Dillian White in the future, Canelo, you had Billy Joe Saunders, like even with Canelo, what happened with Canelo? I mean, he talked about, you know, was it clenbuterol in the meat? I mean, come on, let's be honest with you. You know, Canelo was on something, you know. I mean, Canelo is an elite fighter, even without drugs. I think Canelo is obviously one of the best.
Do you care that Canelo is on something? Like, how much do you really care that Canelo was on something? Are you not going to tune in for his next fight? Does it anger you deep down inside that Canelo's been caught with clenbuterol?
Yeah, exactly. No, to be honest with you, it doesn't. But it's just, my point being is that, you know, it's just that things like this happen. Canelo is such a big star that, you know, okay, it happened, it blows up a bit, then it goes away. Obviously, Jarrell Miller now, he's so, the thing is why Jarrell Miller is bringing so much attention, because he's so outspoken, he's so like loud and brash, and, you know, I'm going to do this to AJ, he's a bum, all of this, like he's so, and the thing is, it just makes him look bad, especially before the fight. He accused AJ of being on drugs. So number one, it makes him look even worse. Number two, he's done it again. So it just makes him look even worse than he did in the first place. So the thing is that going forward, I just feel that, you know, the governing bodies in boxing need to be a lot more stricter, and they have one of them has to come out and actually do a 3-year suspension now, or do something that's a lot more substantial. Because if that happens, I guarantee you that a lot more boxers who are even trying these drugs under the scenes are going to be like, nah, I'm not going to go there. Because if they've given this person 3 or 4 year ban, I'm not going to go there. And I just feel that they're not really doing that. Again, it can depend on the status of the fighter and things like that. But Jarrell Miller was, he got a suspension at first. Are they going to give him a 3-year ban after? I don't know. Should they give him a 3-year ban or something more substantial? Yes. But
okay. Marley, where are you on this, Marley?
Well, what's interesting, I think, with Jarrell Miller, when it comes to the situation with him, I feel that it probably is a psychological issue in which he continuously uses drugs. Now, the difficulty with drug use in boxing, there's not like a board for everywhere. There's not like over here, it's British Board of Control. There's like the Massachusetts one, there's Nevada, there's different commissions everywhere. And a lot of them have their own different rules and different substances you can have. So, for example, you're mentioning Billy Joe Saunders. Now, the substance that he took, if I believe it, was against the Massachusetts Board of Control, but not the British, for example. So it's like there needs to be a deep communication for the entire world of what isn't appropriate with the substances you can take. Much more communication. Now, that's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of funding, but I think I think it needs to be done within the sport if you want to have a clean sport, because this is going to keep happening. And for example, you mentioned the situation with Canelo. That one, the reason Canelo's one really bothered me was because he was so big. Because he was so big and had this, he got let off like easy. Like it was a 6-month thing. He still fought twice that year. And you can say, oh, he lost his purse, lost this. Well, you already had the fight afterwards anyway.
Yeah, he's already got 300 million in the bank.
Exactly, he's already got it. It's not really hurting him. So I mean, that sweet beef does. I probably would have had some.
I might have tasted a bit of Climberro,
yeah, exactly. So he and I think you need to do it with these fights. So Jarrell Miller is a person I think that need to make a stand to kind of, if they really want to change boxing, to do it with, because he's a rising star. He's not really hit the heights yet, but there's potential there. People can see he almost had a world title shot. Like he wouldn't have been too far away.
He's not too far from the top 15. Yeah, he's not too far.
Not too far. And to have him then, I think it's got to be longer than a 4-year ban. I think it's got to be, if they're going to really do something, it's got to be something like 6-7 years.
And I'm happy you said that. Sorry, Marty, we're going to come back to you again. Happy you said that, because why are we so lenient in a sport where people do get brain damage, people do die, people don't come out of the ring the way they entered the ring? In athletics, where it's a 100-meter sprint, you're not hurting anyone. I mean, you can get 8-year bans. I mean, Justin Gatlin got a 6-year, I think it was, ban. Marion Jones was kicked out of the sport. Ben Johnson kicked out of the sport. But you're not hurting anyone. You're just running fast for 10 seconds. But in boxing, when you're going in there to beat each other up and cause each other serious damage, we're talking about 2-year bans. Remember, these fighters only fight once a year, sometimes twice a year.
Exactly.
When you're giving someone a 2-year ban, you're basically saying you're not going to fight 2 or 3 times.
And I also think as well, I think with boxing, it's the physical aspect of being damaged. But let's not forget as well, if you're using drugs to beat that person, say that's the extra thing that helps you, you're then taking the opportunity away from that person by beating them, cheating.
So financially, you're taking away from them as well, Yeah,
so you're impacting in multiple ways. So I just think they've got to do this. That if they really want to clean the sport up, they've got to do it. But I just, you mentioned, so much is going on in boxing and dodgy corruption and stuff. I just don't see it happening, which is a shame. I just don't know what can be done. It's going to be a slow process. It's not going to be instant. Jarrell Miller won't be the last one. There'll be we might talk in about a couple of years about another rising star that we all appreciate, and then hear this story. The only thing I can say is when you hear these stories, I think because of social media and different fans being involved, it does impact more how you feel about a fighter, I think, as opposed to maybe perhaps before. Like, for example, like, I don't know how many people...
Does it really, though? I mean, I can't lie to you. Before Tyson Fury was going to fight Deontay Wilder, I was like, very like, come on, Fury. Let's not forget Fury popped. Let's not forget.
I know.
I don't think that's impacted anyone from saying he is... What do they call him now? The People's Champion. So this is a known drug cheat, and he's been given the tag, the People's Champion. So do we really care? Let's be real. Does it really impact the way you think of a fight?
I think it's a small way. Maybe perhaps I'm.
Is Roy Jones not one of your best fighters, Marley?
Oh yeah, I'm revealing my own ignorance now.
Did Roy Jones not pop for something? Sugar Shane Mosley. Everyone loves Sugar Shane
Yeah.
Mosley on this platform.
Everyone, Holyfield.
Does he? There you go. I mean, does it really, really affect the way you see someone like it does in other sports? Like it really affected the way I felt about Marion Jones.
Well, so the thing is, Roy Jones and all these people that have popped before, they were still fighting at the time, and they've made these careers out of themselves, in which they've endeared themselves to the public. So when they hear stories about them being popped for drugs or whatever, no one's particularly bothered. But the way to maybe the most pragmatic way to stop that would be for Jarrell Miller to not have those stories, to be banned for like 5-6 years. To be banned for 5-6 years in which he's not able to make that career for himself. That will people maybe not, he won't be as impactful as them, for example, but in which no one will really remember him.
Yeah,
they only remember him for being a drug cheat as a kind of a warning sign. Jarrell Miller might be a common phrase used in boxing for
that's such a good point you make. That they put a full stop on Jarrell Miller's career now. No one remembers Jarrell Miller. All you remember is Jarrell Miller drug cheat, because there is no big Jarrell Miller fight. There was no world title fight. Where I guess you're right. The stories that Roy Jones and Shane Mosley made after the drug allegations was so big, right? And you forget the drug allegations because of what they went and done. Whereas Jarrell Miller, you put a full stop on it now. That's it. It's done. There is no talk about Jarrell Miller impacting anything. Shane, Jarrell Miller today has come out. I saw an interview he done with Fight Network TV, and has said that the supplement that he got caught for was contaminated substance. So he's basically not admitting guilt in this. Yeah. He's basically saying that he took a substance, it was contaminated with, I think it's GW 1516 or something. What do you make of that? What do you make of this new allegation of him saying, I'm innocent, basically?
Yeah, so firstly, when he got popped last year before the AJ fight, he didn't come out and say he was sorry. So there was no remorse from him then. Again, he's doing the same thing. He's come out now, he's blamed on excuse this, excuse that. He hasn't actually come out and said, right, I took it, I hold my hands up. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I think. I think if he's not remorseful of what he's done, what does that tell us? Does it tell us that he knows maybe most boxers are taking something? Yeah. And is it a case of, I was the one that got caught? So that's why I look at it in that situation. I mean, I've seen that interview myself, and I just thought, lots of BS, basically. I
always wonder, and you talk about him being remorseful because other boxers might be doing it as well. I always look at the social media of these other boxers, top boxers, who are not outraged by this. And I'm like, why are you not outraged?
Yeah.
I don't want to use that as a telltale sign, but why are you not screaming, ban him for life? It's like not many boxers that are really dissing him right now. And to be fair, he's had beef with a lot of heavyweight boxers and no one's like throwing stones. And I'm like, why are you guys not throwing stones at this guy right now? Look, I'm not going to say that means they're on something and doing something themselves, but it does surprise me that a lot of boxers haven't come out and just completely lambasted him. They've all kept it quiet. Stephen, drugs in boxing, is it up to the commissioners to ban them, which they don't seem like they're going to do, right? We spoke about 2-3 year bans. We don't really see that, let's be honest. Or should it be down to promoters not to book them? I mean, if Jarrell Miller doesn't get booked by the top promoters, so the Bob Arams, the Al Haymans, the Eddie Hearns, he doesn't earn money. There are other smaller ones, but they're not really going to pay the same. Should it be the promoters who don't book these guys, or like what I think, no one gives a shit?
It's a good question. I feel it's probably a bit of both, because the promoters will obviously have to look at the fighter and kind of think realistically, the status of the fighter, how much money they're going to bring them, what value do they bring towards their stable. In terms of obviously the commissions and stuff, I personally feel some more stricter measures should be in place, e.g. for Jarrell Miller. Like he's already been caught with the amount of drugs that he's been caught with were very, very strong. What they should have said is, okay, look, we're going to put you on like a plan where you have to kind of do testing every X amount of days, or every day for the next certain amount of time.
Who pays for that? Who pays for that? And this is a big problem as well with boxing. The testing is very expensive, by the way. I don't know if everyone knows that. Who pays for that testing? Should it come out of Jarrell Miller's purse?
I feel if because Jarrell Miller has to look at himself and think, do you know what, I need some sort of redemption, or what am I going to do here to really get people to think, okay, look, I'm trying to change now. I'm trying to be a top world-class fighter, and I want to do things that are different. I mean, Jarrell Miller has money. I don't think that he's, necessarily poor. He's earned money through fighting. But I feel that he should, it depends on the person, but I feel Jarrell Miller should go through and really think, okay, look, if I'm trying to redeem myself and they're willing to put me on this, I want to do it. Or he can say, if he's really true to himself and he really knows that he doesn't need drugs, he could be like to his management team and whoever is with and say, look, okay, I want to now go with doing this plan to for my own good, but also to let people know that, look, I'm not a drug cheat. I don't want to be doing this anymore, and I want to go and win things legitimately. So I feel that he could, some people have gone to that. I feel that if Jarrell Miller really wanted to redeem himself, I feel he will sign up to something. But promoters, they have that decision to make. It does bring down your value down, especially when you've taken drugs. I mean, who's gonna look at Jarrell Miller now? I mean, the first place they weren't looking at him now, but what promoter really is going to be wanting to really promote someone like Jarrell Miller based on what he's done? And but in terms of the government bodies, I just think stricter measures need to be put in place after you've had should be done really in the beginning. But in case of Jarrell Miller, he's had that suspension first. He's done it again. I feel that they either have to look at suspending him for a longer amount of time, or they need to put him on, he needs to come out, or his team to go through some sort of plan where he'll be tested for a long time. And when he passes that test for the long amount of time, then I think from there he could be like, look, I want to go forward and not do this again. But then what happens if he does that and say that he does that, and then after he goes and takes some more drugs? We will never know.
Marley, sorry, Steve. Marley, should it just be a case of, like most incidents in life, one time a slap on the wrist, second time a suspension, third time we're throwing you in the jail and throwing away the key. Sorry, locking you in jail and throwing away the key.
Yeah. It's difficult, because you kind of try and put yourself in the fighter's shoes to a certain extent, in which, like, what is it about them that would need this advantage? It's a very, very tough sport. So I kind of get that part of it, but I think it has to still be kind of a case by. It's hard because you want it to be a case by case basis. Because
of the difference in drugs, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Saunders one, and then you get EPO. They're completely different.
Human growth, hormone. I think it needs to be done like that. I think that's fair, but then I think perhaps if they did like a 2-strike rule or something like that, then it'd be very, very set in stone and very, very clear. I think that'd probably do the best for it. I think like one and done, I think that's for me hard. A bit too harsh. That's very, very harsh, because this is all they know. It's the entire livelihood. This is what it's done. So I think if you have the philosophy of kind of just you get one more chance, and then it's done, and then it's decided that you'll have, like, whether it's you're ever going to box again or even get involved in any other sports. So, for example, what's interesting about Jarrell Miller is he's someone that's got involved in martial arts. Mm-hmm. So would he now, because he's done with boxing, should he be allowed to go into MMA?
This is the funny thing. He could make money. Let's be honest. He's got a name. There is some name value behind him. There is a kickboxing background. You just alluded to that. And high level, by the way, K1, high level kickboxing. He could go to mixed martial arts and make some money, whether that be Bellator or UFC. So it's almost like, should they just stop him from doing anything, or should they just kick him out of boxing? If they kick him out of boxing, I'm sure that he'll make money over in the UFC or in Bellator. Guys, I want to move on from Jarrell Miller, because I feel like we could spend years talking about drugs. I honestly do believe that. I mean, I look at, and we talk about Jarrell Miller, I look at the heavyweight boxing top 10, and I'm pretty sure 5 of those guys have failed drug tests. 5. So maybe Jarrell Miller's in a situation where he feels like everyone's playing dirty and he just got caught. So I don't want to go there. Where I do want to go to next is female boxing. And I want everyone's honest opinion here. Don't sit on the fences. Don't be trying to stick up for female boxing if you don't like it. Shane, I'm going to come to you first. Yeah. Do you like female boxing If the answer is no, why?
I've watched a few fights, so I'll probably say, yeah, I like it. I like Terry Harper, Doncaster girl.
Yep.
She's had some good fights, and I do like it. I feel like with everything, you've got to give it a chance to grow, and I feel like female boxing never had that star yet. I know you've got Katie Taylor, but she doesn't really speak, and I think Ed Hearn speaks for her. So we haven't got that star yet, the superstar best skill of female boxing, such as MMA, where you've got Ronda Rousey, isn't it? She's a massive star, and so in female boxing we haven't got that yet. And I feel like we need to get female fans involved in boxing some sort of way to build up that female based fans, and also so that we've got that in boxing. So I feel like it's growing, as I said, and I do like some fights, but I feel like we need depth within the divisions as well. So that's something I would say about female boxing. But I do like it, and I feel like over time it will grow eventually, and hopefully.
I'm with you. I like it. I think some of the girls are skilled. I do think Clarissa Shields is trying her hardest, right? She is that mouthpiece, right? She's trying to sell it a lot. Katie Taylor, it's a fantastic fighter, doesn't talk, which is difficult, where you compared it to Ronda Rousey, who did talk. Hence why Ronda Rousey is now a star in the WWE, or was. She's not in there at the moment. Stephen, where are you on female fighting? Fan of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of female boxing. My dad is not too much of a fan. I'm a fan though. I enjoy it. I like it. I feel there's some really skilled fighters in female boxing. Obviously, like upcomers like Jessica McCaskill.
Yep.
You've got that war that Katie Taylor had with that French lady? Pursoon.
Yeah, Pursoon, Australian. War,
you've got it is entertaining. I am a fan of it. I just feel that when you're making, or if you had to make comparisons to obviously things like sports like MMA, I just feel that Dana White. I mean, Dana White was opposed for women to come into the sport of MMA. But the thing is that he actually gave it a try. He did it, and he shows that that these things can work. But that's because women in the MMA have been put on big cards to be showcased. Whereas with with boxing, with boxing here and women's boxing, some of them are there, but they're not on the major showcases. And I feel maybe if women's boxing was on there, there'll be more of maybe some sort of pressure on the women to maybe do more, to be a bit maybe more entertaining in that way. But I just feel that with the MMA, they've given women a more of a chance. And also, let's not forget that MMA boxers get paid, female boxers get paid, MMA fighters get paid a good amount of money as well, almost on a similar level, I think almost on the same to the men, but they entertain. And I just feel it's because they are giving them an opportunity to come out and actually, fight on these major shows. Whereas with female boxing, that's just not the case here. Again, it could be about, how they're promoted. Obviously, Kate Taylor, she's a very humble, nice, kind of church girl. She's, and she does her thing. But again, Eddie Hearn is bigging her up more. Clarissa Shields, obviously, she's very outspoken. She tends to do her own promotions. But at the same time, I just feel that if they were put at the front, just like how MMA female fighters are, it will be highlighted a lot more. But that's just not done in female boxing, unfortunately.
Marley, Stephen mentioned it, right? MMA, that's the comparison. It's an easy comparison to make because, let's be honest, Dana White 10 years ago laughed at the idea of female MMA stars being in the UFC. Exactly, from Strikeforce, the likes of Gina Carano and Misha Tate came over. Now, though, they're headlining cards. And they're not just headlining cards. These girls are doing very, very good pay-per-view numbers. Why is female boxing so far behind female MMA?
Well, I'm going to preface this first with you answer the question. I'm not a fan of female boxing at the moment, I will say. Not at the moment. Simply because I feel that the sport in itself hasn't, you mentioned, for example, about superstars, for example. So what Shane mentioned, they've not had that star. And the reason Ronda Rousey became successful was a mixture of multiple things. For example, the fact that she was beating people very easily, looked very impressive, looked fantastic. As well, she was very attractive, and that's a very baseline thing that you don't want to necessarily promote, of course, but it's part of it. I mean, look at AJ, for example.
Yeah.
Would he have that many pay-per-views if he was looking like, an average bloke? No,
it wouldn't. You're right.
All the ladies loved watching
mate,
AJ.
I would never go I'm never going raving with Anthony Joshua, man. It'd just be...
I wouldn't leave Anthony Joshua alone with my wife for 10 seconds.
Nah, man. Just there's no interaction going on there, So I think with MMA, the reason it's been able to do that, I think, is because the fights itself have been, I think, of far better quality.
Yeah, 100%.
That might be because MMA is more open to skills and different sort of things, the way a woman moves, perhaps, as opposed to boxing, which is more limited. So, for example, the recent Joanna fight, which was mad. That fight was absolutely
fight of the year.
It was extraordinary, and something like that. There should be a spark in women's boxing in which they'll create that. I think they're taking some steps to do. I think Hearn's one of the only people kind of pushing it more. Perhaps I think it's because the competition isn't that great. I think you can get like a lot of them world title within not that many fights.
4 or 5 fights.
So 4 or 5 fights. So you need to build it from the bottom up. So perhaps you need to get involved in more the amateur process and gyms and things like that, and kind of explain the need for boxing, as a show of discipline, a show of
what I have noticed. Sorry to interrupt you there, Marley. Is that the drop off after a lot of females enter amateur boxing now, but the drop off in wanting to turn pro or maybe just seek other careers, maybe have kids, start a family, is massive. It's almost like the drop off's so big, maybe because the financials aren't there as well yet. I don't know what these females are getting, but they're probably looking at the risk reward factor and thinking it's just not worth it. Their dream is just to win a medal at the Olympics or the World Championships, then that's it. Whereas male boxing, the dream is really to win a world title. The Olympics is great. World Championship medals are great, but it's to get a big belt, get some money. Females just don't seem to have that same drive.
No, I think it's limited by, as you mentioned before, things like having kids and things like that. I think you can be quite young and spend some time taking tolls on the body. That could impact your decisions, for example. I think that's fair to say. I think they have to do more of these shows. They want to proper grow it. They have to do more of these shows. They have to do more of Katie Taylor headlining, or maybe co-headlining on a bill somewhere. And that's going to make a lot of old school boxing fans mad. They're going to be like, "Oh, who wants to watch this? It's rubbish." But they're going to have to, if they really want to build the sport, they're going to have to let those fans say that. They're going to have to do that, because when you create these opportunities and think like, oh, I can actually get on the show at the O2. I can be on the Joshua card in Saudi Arabia. I could be at this stadium. They'll want to do that, as opposed to like previously, it's like, I can win a world title on a small horse show. It doesn't really inspire.
Yeah, if I'm a 15-year-old right now coming through, I've started boxing, right? And I see Katie Taylor sending out the O2 arena, 20,000, everyone going crazy, screaming her name, massive. That inspires me. If I'm sort of 15 and I'm watching girls sell out York Hall, Bethnal Green, which has like a 1,500 capacity, that doesn't inspire me. That doesn't make me feel like I want to get there.
I think they need to spend. So much more time as well. It's going to sound horrible, so like promoting themselves a bit more as well, in terms of being on shows, being on things like YouTuber channels. Maybe try and even get to be on mainstream television, and kind of. Ronda Rousey spent a lot of time talking about, how preparations for fights and things like that. And I remember like Coden and stuff like that about having sex. Silly little things like that. Really, like people were like, "Oh God, what's she talking about?" And get interested. They're interested in on that baseline, and then they see the fight and they're like, "Oh God, she's amazing."
Yeah, and it keeps them interested. Then they're sold.
It sounds.
They look at the way she talks, and then it's like, okay, but can you fight? Then she fights and she wins in 20 seconds with an armbar, and they're hooked. They're like, "Oh, this is the real deal." Like this is the Floyd Mayweather female. They confuse everything, but just sell onto her. I don't think they're seeing that. And another thing as well, is it because we don't get any knockouts in female boxing? In MMA, you get a lot of female stoppages because of like other moves, right? Arm bars, chokes, etc. In female boxing, invariably it goes the full distance. Is that a turn off for guys as well, or for anyone watching the sport?
If there was a Mike Tyson of female fighters right now,
she would clean up, girls out.
It would be so impactful. Like, I think that person is coming. I think that will eventually happen. The sport evolves, and the way that I think they need to approach maybe boxing. Maybe I'm not scientists or anything to do with biology, but maybe I'm assuming that the approach to boxing for a woman would be different to approach boxing for a man in terms of skill, technique, the way you move, in terms of power. So once that person comes, I think it'll then happen. But I don't know when that's going to be.
Not a bigger fan. All right, guys, let's wrap up on this one. Sorry, I did ask all of you to name a fighter in the UK or US that you're looking forward to in 2021, someone that could maybe step up to the world level, maybe even world championship in terms of winning a title. Shane, I'll put you on the spot first. Who's your UK fighter? Who's your US fighter?
I think my UK one's pretty obvious. I think Daniel Dubois. I think it will beat Joy Joyce.
Oh,
so I think, I think it will beat Joy Joyce and will take that next step and be on the world level. Or even fight for a world title some point next year.
Maybe 2021, who knows?
And my US one, I was debating this one, but I've gone for Shakur Stevenson.
Okay.
I know he's already
a world champion.
But he hasn't fought anyone. Yeah, he hasn't fought anyone legit. So basically, I feel like
agreed.
Yeah, I feel like if he takes the what's his name, the Liz boy,
Josh Warrington.
Josh Warrington. If he takes Josh Warrington fight, I feel like that'd be good. That'd be next step up for him. So,
it's funny you say those, and two good ones, by the way. Thank you. It's funny you say Shakur Stevenson because us as fans, real fans, yes, he's got a world title, but we're already thinking, well, he's not world level yet.
Yeah,
so boxing works. Like you've got a world title, you've even moved up in weight, but we are looking at you like maybe like a Devin Haney, like, well, you've not fought anyone.
Yeah,
so it's funny you send Shakur
young
Stevenson.
as well. How old is he? 22.
I think he's only 22.
Younger than me.
Yeah,
22.
Crazy. So loads of potential, even to go through the weights. Stephen, who's your two?
So with mine, I think my first one in terms of UK, I'm going to be going for Luke Campbell. I think Luke,
as a world, so you don't think he's world level already?
Well, I mean, I do think he's world level, but I mean, just in terms of like going forward and getting even more titles, I think he's good. I think that he's out of maybe those in the division, he's probably building a good name for himself. But in terms of like going forward, and I feel like pushing through to enhance himself more. I just like Luke Campbell in terms of just how he fights, how he boxes, and I really feel that he can go forward and become an even bigger star in the next year.
It's funny you say that because in my head I'm thinking, well, that's the wrong answer. But Barry McGuigan was asked exactly the same question, and he said fighters to look out for in 2021, Luke Campbell. So he mentioned Luke Campbell as well. All right, American.
And American, it's going to be quite ironic because they could match up, but I'm going to say Devin Haney. Devin Haney, for me, Devin Haney, I just feel is somebody who can really do well. Again, the skill set he has and what he can do. I feel that he obviously will have tough challenges coming forward as well.
I think he's actually fighting Luke Campbell next.
Yeah, that's a fight I would love to see. I love to see two great styles. But yeah, I think Devin Haney can be the real deal coming up as well. I know everybody wants that shot against Lomachenko, understand that, but I just feel that Devin Haney, he will be coming forward. He can do something big next year, 100%.
Again, it's kind of like what Shane did with Shakur Stevenson. Here is another world champion, right? That we're saying could do good things. Whereas many, many years ago, if you were a world champion, that's it, you're done. You've arrived already. We have Devin Haney, who was emailed a belt, and it's like, it doesn't convince us, right? Us boxing fans are like, well, that doesn't make sense yet. Marley, go on, your two.
For UK, I've gone with Lawrence Okolie.
Oh, I like that.
Now, the reason I've gone with him is I don't think he's not a particular fighter that excites me to watch or anything like that. I find him very boring, the way he fights. But that's just the way he fights. Now, he's working with Shane McGuigan now, who I really rate as a trainer. And I think for next year, 2021, I think he'll have a world title shot, most likely at the end of the year, something like that. And I think looking at the way the cruiserweights are at the moment, they weren't as strong as they were a few years ago. And I think it is possible for him to win a world title. Maybe not necessarily in his first try, but at some point in the future, just because of his dimensions and his ability to, it's a lot of like grab, jab, grab, hold sort of.
By the way, I met him in Saudi Arabia for the AJ Ruiz fight. He's massive. Yeah, I can't tell you how big he is. Yeah, I like how this guy makes the cruiserweight limit. I've absolutely no idea. He's a bit wiry, but he's too big.
He might become like a maybe like a heavyweight Tommy Hearns, maybe if hopefully
he will be exactly. It will be exactly that. He will be exactly.
If he's trained properly. So like my mentioning Wilder again. So for example, Wilder's was always my dream to be. That's a heavyweight Tommy Hearns. Would be such a great thing to watch.
Yeah, you know, to be fair, his body isn't too dissimilar to Wilder's.
Yeah,
Wilder looks in better shape, but I feel like the length is exactly the same. Him and Wilder are probably exactly the same height. Yeah,
and I think he's got a lot.
I think Shane said that as well. I think Shane compared him to Wilder.
Yeah, he's moving up to heavyweight after 2 cruiserweight fights.
Yeah,
that's what Shane said.
So I think he can do something. I think he'd go cruiserweight first, and then eventually move up to heavyweight. Of course, that's where the money is. And I think he's got the dimension to that. It's not like David Haye, which, like, in my personal opinion, should have stayed at cruiserweight the entire time. Coley, I think, could make that next step to heavyweight.
All right, go on then. Who's the US one? I'm very.
The US one is he's a Mexican. So Ryan. The reason I not necessarily don't think that he'll be great at world level, but I think he'll eventually push this in terms of pressure through his promoters. Ryan Garcia.
Okay.
Now I don't necessarily
have gone for guys in and around the same. Obviously, Stevenson's a bit smaller, but you've mentioned Shane. You mentioned Devin Haney and Luke Campbell, lightweights, and Marley. You've now mentioned Ryan Garcia, another lightweight.
Well, the reason is with Garcia is because he's got a lot of followers and he's got this promoted by him. He could potentially be the next big Mexican star. That there's always like one every generation that's very impactful. Oscar De La Hoya, of course, Canelo.
Good-looking boy as well. Let's be honest.
Good-looking, handsome California kid. Yeah. You know, what I mean, got the fast hand, looks good on the Instagram. You know, whether he's ready for that, I don't know. But I don't think Oscar De La Hoya wants to lose him. And there's a lot of like arguments about who he's fighting, how much money he's getting. He seems to be quite.
You know how rich he is when he turns down $200,000 to fight.
Yeah,
like I don't want it. Not enough. It's only worth £10 to me. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think he will go for something. Maybe next year, maybe the end of the year again, maybe a title, maybe kind of some other small belt. You know, one of these ridiculous. You know,
I think he's already got the WBC silver lightweight belt. I think he's got the silver belt. I agree with you with Ryan Garcia. Look, he's got 6.5 million Instagram followers. Not that means anything, but today's age of social media, you've got to build yourself up both ways, right? You've got to build up your social media as well as building up your boxing career. And I think he's ticking both boxes, Mexican, American. So he's going to tick
him versus Tank, maybe
all the American stuff. Maybe I think they'll.
Do you want to beat him?
I think they'll play it safe with Ryan Garcia for a few years. He's young. I mean, he doesn't need to fight anyone until he's like 23, 24. I think he's 22 now, so he's still young.
Yeah. See, I agree with you, but I think what could push him to that would be he himself, whether he has to, if he continues this kind of attitude. Yeah. And I personally don't think he's ready for that. And I imagine Oscar knows boxing better than most people. Like, you know, Oscar.
The problem is, with this. Sorry, guys, to interrupt everyone all the time. The problem is with this is that even if he were to fight a Devin Haney and lose, what's the fucking problem? I think we as boxing fans now take that L as such a big thing. I have no problem with Ryan Garcia fighting a Devin Haney, 2 young kids, 2 world-level prospects, and someone loses. But I think boxing fans now, it's that O, isn't it? You got to hold on to that O, because if you lose your O, you're not Mayweather. Yeah. No one's Mayweather.
If you lose your O, your purse goes down.
That's what it seems like. It seems like if you lose your O nowadays, your purse drops drastically. Yeah. Your fan base drops drastically.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. We're wrapped up. That is a good, solid 50 minutes of talking, if not longer. I thank you so much for joining. Some interesting chat there, especially about the females. That was interesting. And I think promoters are going to want to hear that, especially what Shane Stevens said about being fans of female boxing. I can't lie to you. I thought all you guys might have said no. But I'm shocked that Shane and Stevens said, yes, they are fans. I fully understand what Marley was saying, right? Until there is someone to kind of grab onto, it's almost a weird sport right now because there is no one. I think Cecilia Brackus could have done that. Very beautiful. And look, people might say that sounds sexist, but I'm happy Marley mentioned AJ. AJ's fan base is 90% female. Let's understand that, right? No one has a female fan base like AJ. So if AJ can use his looks, which he always does with taking his top off for every single photo, females can equally use theirs. Use your looks. Use what your mama gave you, I was told. But guys, thank you so much. The video will be up later on today. I appreciate your time. Peace.